From our studio located in Madison, New Jersey, this is Real Good News. This is Real Good News with Lisa Allen, Tommy Nonnenmaker, Diane Kirsch, and Allen Swanson.
Welcome back to another episode of Real Good News. I'm Lisa Allen. We begin with another update on the I-80 situation in Morris County. In Wharton, the repair project on Interstate 80 continues following a series of sinkholes that forced the long-term closure of eastbound and westbound lanes near exit 34. According to the New Jersey Department of Transportation, a detailed construction schedule has now been released, giving drivers a better sense of when lanes might reopen. The timeline includes 3 major milestones. First, NJDOT expects to reopen 2 westbound lanes on or before May 4th. That includes construction of new support slabs and the establishment of a new traffic pattern. Then by May 18th, 2 eastbound lanes are expected to reopen. The final milestone is set for June 25th, when all lanes in both directions are projected to be fully restored to their original condition. This schedule, however, depends heavily on weather and ground conditions, which could still affect how quickly the work gets done. New Jersey DOT says its teams are working around the clock and will adapt quickly to keep the project moving forward. Geotechnical testing recently revealed a large void under the westbound left lane. As a result, all westbound lanes remain closed and detoured at exit 34B. Crews are now working on both sides of the highway, with construction expected to run 24 hours a day. Governor Phil Murphy emphasized safety as the state's top concern, saying, as we continue to work 24/7 to repair I-80, unfortunately, testing revealed another significant void in the left lane of I-80 westbound. As we have said since these issues began, safety is our top priority, and we must ensure that the roadway is safe for motorists before we can reopen. To help ease the impact of commuters, NJ Transit is offering a 50% discount on round-trip fares for those who are affected by the ongoing closures. Drivers are still being encouraged to use alternate routes, including Route 10 and Route 46, and to allow extra time. For continued updates, drivers can visit 511nj.org or check out the New Jersey DOT website. If you love cars, community, and giving back, the Dog Pound Cruisers have something special for you this season. This nonprofit car club in Northwest New Jersey brings people together through their shared passion for all things automotive, while supporting local charities and families in need. Their 2025 cruise nights will take place on the first and third Wednesday of every month from April through September at their new location, which is 100 Route 46 in Bud Lake, the old Home Goods building. Expect live music, food specials, giveaways, and a cigar bar, and a wide range of cars, bikes, and custom rides. All are welcome, and every event raises money for a good cause. To stay updated on weather cancellations, check their Facebook page by 3 p.m. on cruise days. The Dog Pound Cruisers are proving that a great night out can also do a lot of good. Union County is helping residents go green this April with a full lineup of free recycling events. These programs make it easy to safely and responsibly get rid of everything from old paperwork to scrap metal. On Wednesday, April 9th, residents can bring personal documents to Blackbrook Park in Kenilworth for on-site paper shredding. The event runs from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. or until the shredding trucks are full. Staples are okay, but please remove large clips and bindings. Pre-shredded or wet paper will not be accepted. Scrap metal recycling is also starting up again for this season. Residents can drop off items like old appliances, refrigerators with doors removed, metal cabinets, bicycles, and more. Collection events will take place twice a month on the first Thursday and the third Saturday from now through November. The next two drop-off dates are Thursday, April 3rd and Saturday, April 19th. Both events will run from 9 a.m. to noon. Locations include the Emergency Services Building in Cranford and the Park Service Yard in Rahway. These recycling events are for Union County residents only, and proof of residency is required. For full details and updates, you can visit ucnj.org/recycling. Morris County is asking for public input on updated hazard mitigation plans, which outlines how the county and its municipalities can better prepare for and respond to natural disasters. The multi-jurisdictional and multi-hazard mitigation plan is designed to identify risks, assess vulnerabilities, and develop long-term strategies that reduce the impact of hazards such as floods, storms, and severe weather. Keeping the plan current also ensures that towns remain eligible for federal funding to help minimize future risks. Residents are invited to review the draft plan and submit comments online by Friday, April 11th. All feedback will remain anonymous, and the county encourages everyone to participate, especially those with ideas or concerns about emergency preparedness in their area. The draft is available on the Morris County website, and the county hopes that strong public participation will help shape a more resilient future for all communities. Union County is inviting residents to take part in a public meeting on Tuesday, April 9th at 6 p.m. to learn about a new bikeway project that will run through Elizabeth, Roselle, and Cranford. The meeting will be held at the Cranford Recreation and Parks Department, located at 220 Walnut Avenue. The project focuses on adding designated bike lanes along with local roads to create a continuous route from the Elizabeth River Trail through Werinaco Park, linking it to the East Coast Greenway. Representatives from Union County and Pannoni Associates will present the proposed routes along with signage and safety improvements. The aim is to make biking easier, safer, and more accessible for both residents and visitors. This meeting is open to the public, and residents are encouraged to attend, ask questions, and share their thoughts. It's a chance to help shape a project that supports outdoor recreation, cleaner travel, and healthier communities. A beautiful stretch of riverfront land in Mendham Township is now permanently protected, thanks to a team effort focused on conservation and open space. The 11-acre Seville property located along the north branch of Raritan River features forested land, steep slopes, and over 500 feet of river frontage. It's home to a variety of wildlife, including wood turtles, barred owls, bobcats, bald eagles, and even the federally endangered Indiana bat. The land was preserved through a partnership between Morris County, the New Jersey Green Acres Program, and the Raritan Headquarters Association. The total cost of the preservation project was just over $882,000, with nearly half of that coming from the Morris County Open Space Trust Fund. The Raritan Headwaters Association plans to transfer ownership of the land to the Shift Natural Lands Trust, which oversees its long-term care. Officials say that this is another important step in preserving natural habitats and protecting clean water for future generations. Union County is hosting a free virtual event called A Life's Journey in Words on April 8th from 6 to 7 p.m. The webinar is part of the National Alcohol Awareness Month and features speakers sharing personal stories of recovery and resilience. Presented by the Union County Board of County Commissioners and the Department of Health Services, the aim is to raise awareness about alcohol misuse and offer support to those affected. Local partners include Bridgeway Behavioral Health, Northern New Jersey Alcoholics Anonymous, Owen Healthcare, and Prevention Links. Alcohol remains the leading substance reported by residents seeking treatment in Union County. Officials say this event is a reminder that recovery is possible and support is available. To register, visit ucnj.org. Additional resources can be found through the Union County Department of Human Services. Our good friend and one of the producers of our show, Lara Ali, brings us a special interview with a local track superstar and someone we think you're going to be hearing a lot about in the near future. This special report comes via tap into Madison.
Welcome to a very special interview we have today that we're so excited to have Maya Van Horn with us today. My name is Lara Ali, and I'm here today interviewing Maya. So excited to talk about her exciting and very successful track career. I'm doing this on behalf of Real Good News, our local newscast station, and on behalf of Tap Into Madison, who covers local news right here in Madison and Morris County. Welcome, Maya. We're really excited to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be interviewed.
We're excited to have you. So tell us, well, first of all, I should know this, but is track season going on right now? Is spring track, did it start yet?
Yes, it is. I haven't raced yet. My first race is next weekend, but yeah, it started.
That's awesome. And you run for Morris Tech, right? As well as Madison High School?
Yeah, it's a bit confusing. So I live in Madison, but I go to Morris Tech. I'm in the Academy for Finance and International Business.
Love that.
And my school has a cross country team, but we don't have a track team. So in cases where we don't have a specific sport, we can go to our home school and do that sport. So that's why I do cross country for Morris Tech and track for Madison.
Oh my gosh, that's great. So you go back and forth. Do you have any classes at Madison High School, or are they all at Morris Tech?
No, they're all at Morris Tech.
Cool. I love Morris Tech. I think that's one of the best gems of Morris County. A lot of people don't know really as much about it, right? But so you're studying finance there?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And they have other cool programs as well, if I recall.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's great. So what's how long have you been running?
I started running my sophomore year, so it hasn't been too long.
Oh, so sophomore year, and you're a senior now.
Yeah.
Nice. And what got you into running? What made you decide to start doing track and cross country?
Well, I had done soccer my whole life, and then freshman year, I just got sick of it, and I decided not to do a sport. And then sophomore year, I felt like something was missing, and I wanted to make more friends, especially being in a new school where I didn't know that many people. So I really joined cross country to try and meet new people, and from there, it just I noticed that it was something that I was good at, and I loved just seeing how fast I could run. So from there, it's just kind of became my obsession.
That's awesome. It's so good for you. So what speed do you run a mile
at? 5:12 is my PR.
Wow.
Yeah. It's not my native end, but yeah.
That's amazing. Have you ever run a marathon?
No. That'll be further down the road.
Yeah. Do you do any competitive mini marathons or any charity runs anywhere around here? Or?
I haven't done any yet, but that is something that I'm interested in. I definitely want to, I feel like I would be good at half marathons and that whole thing. So yeah, I would like to do something like that.
Good for you. So tell us, what do you love the most about it?
I think I love the running community the most, and just the people that I've been able to meet and share experiences with. I mean, not just even on the two teams that I'm on, but just all the girls in the state and that run and are so goal driven and inspiring. That's been really fun to just get to know all those girls. And then I also just really love just seeing how fast I can run and how far I can push myself, and seeing progress in my times. It's really empowering, and I just want to see what my potential is. So
that's great. And so what are your plans for next year now? Because today is April 5th. We're nearing the end of the year. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What about your plans for college?
I'm going to George Washington University to run cross country and track, and I'm super excited.
That is great. And Washington, D.C. is such an exciting city.
Yes, it is.
Are you going with anyone you know, or is anybody else from your schools going?
No, not so far. Nobody else from my school is going. I just really, when I went on my official visit back in the fall, I really connected with all the girls on the teams and even the recruits that were also on the visit. So I'll be going with them, and I'm super excited. They all just seem like super nice people.
Oh, that's so great. And so when do you start? Early in the summer? If you're on the track team, do you have to go earlier than most students, or no?
I think it's a week or two earlier. So early to mid-August, I would say. Maybe a little bit August 10th, around there.
Oh, that's fantastic. Good for you. So what about the end of the year? What's coming up as far as track or school that you're excited about?
I'm excited for the end of the spring track season and all those exciting races. I'm really hoping Well, in my main event is a 2 mile in track, and just this winter I finally broke 11. So now it's like trying to see like how far I can push it. I really want to run maybe low 1040s. So
Oh my
and I think my
gosh.
training is going really well. So that's what I'm excited about, getting PRs, hopefully placing well in the state races, and just having the best, last season.
Oh my God, that's so great. Imagine if you do that in the low 1040s. What's the local record for the 2 miler? Is there one?
I already have the Madison school record.
Oh my God, you're so talented and great. So how do you prepare for that? Like, do you practice, like, do you run every day?
Well, yeah, I run 6 days a week. I've definitely worked in some cross training in there. So that means like going on the elliptical or like on the bike for a few hours every week, just because I've struggled with like shin injuries and stress injuries in the past. And that seems to make it go a bit better. And then I've also since I'm like 2 years into my running career, so I'm still kind of learning like what training works best for my body. I worked with a dietitian last year to kind of like make sure that I'm fueling my body properly and wouldn't get as many stress injuries. And then also like just preparing for a race, I think that mindset is the most important. So that's also been something that I've been trying to work on. And I think like that's why I had so much success this past winter season, because like I was strong mentally.
So I love that kind of stuff, because I'm a big believer in the power of positive thinking. I really am. So like, what are some tips you would give our like viewers about that to get yourself in a good mindset?
I complain a lot to like my friends on the team and everything, but really like inside your mind, you have to know that this race in front of you is a great opportunity, and that you have to really trust your training and trust everything that you put in, because like the racing is the fun part. The racing is like the part where you get to show all the work that you put in. So that's kind of how I approach the races. I always say to myself, and I've done this since like sophomore year when I started, like I say to myself before races, like in my head, I say, trust your training, trust the process, and trust yourself. Because I think that's the three like most important things when it comes to racing. You just need to have a lot of trust in yourself, and that you're able to run fast.
That's fantastic. So what else is going on in Madison, like before the year end? Is a prom coming up soon, or?
Yeah, prom's coming up soon.
Are you going to go?
I am going to go. Well, Morris Tech has our own prom, so I'm going to go to that. Yeah.
Well, if you have a date, he'll be a very lucky person. So any advice to like young runners out there that want to really take their running and their track career to the next level? What would you tell them?
I think that mindset and consistency is the most important, because I remember like being younger and looking at all like the girls that are now I'm running those girls' times, but there was just such amazing runners, and your times are so far away, it kind of seems like a little scary, and like you're never going to get to that point. But with consistency and just like really trusting the process, it's so possible. And I think that's like, and also just having fun with it. Like, I think that you have to really enjoy the sport to be able to be good at it. And that's what I just really love, like running, and I love the community. So also finding joy in it is really important.
That's great. So is it ever too late to start running? What do you think?
No.
For old lady like me. You said you did 2 miles in 11 minutes. It takes me 11 minutes to walk from one side of this building to the other. Like, what advice would you give an older person that doesn't run?
Well, my mom has gotten into running a little bit since I started. So
that's awesome. Do you run together?
No. we're like at different paces, but she enjoys it now. So,
well, I wish you so much luck. We all do here. We'll be cheering for you. Now, you don't have to share this, but do you have like an Instagram that you like people to follow, or anything you want to send out to our listeners to cheer you on? You don't have to, but if you did, this is a good opportunity. Good. Go ahead.
My Instagram is Maya Van Horn. So if you guys want to follow.
All right, perfect. I'm going to follow you right after this, and we'll share that, and hopefully you'll get a lot more followers. But we will be cheering you on, not only the rest of senior year, but next year when you go down to DC. That's so exciting. You're gonna love it. Yeah. I was in DC 2 weeks ago, and I just loved every second of it. It's great. Mm-hmm.
It's a great city.
Well, thank you for joining us so much, Maya.
Next, Diane will take a look at the history of protests in the United States and do they really make a difference?
Throughout American history, people have gathered to raise their voices, marching in the streets, carrying signs, chanting slogans, or simply standing still in silence to call for change. Protesting in its many forms is woven into the fabric of our nation. It's a tradition that dates back to before the United States even existed. One of the earliest and most famous protests was the Boston Tea Party in 1773, when colonists, frustrated by taxation without representation, dumped an entire shipment of British tea into the harbor. That act of defiance helped ignite the American Revolution. More than a century later, in the early 1900s, thousands of women marched down city streets demanding the right to vote. They held banners, gave speeches, and sometimes faced arrest, but they didn't stop. And in 1920, their voices were finally heard with the ratification of the 19th Amendment. Now, in the 1960s, peaceful protests became a cornerstone of the civil rights movement. From the Montgomery bus boycott to the March on Washington, ordinary people, students, clergy, parents, risked their safety to stand up against injustice. Their efforts helped lead to the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. But not every protest makes its history books. Some happen quietly in small towns with only a handful of people holding signs. Others take the form of art installations, hunger strikes, or even just a single person refusing to sit down, like Rosa Parks did in 1955. So the question remains, do protests actually work? The answer is, not always right away. But often they do. Protests can bring attention to causes that might otherwise be overlooked. They can shift public opinion, change policies, and inspire others to act. Sometimes the results are immediate. Other times it takes years. And in some cases, the effects are felt not in laws, but in culture, attitudes, and awareness. Environmental protests led to the first Earth Day in 1970, and eventually the creation of Environmental Protection Agency. Labor protests throughout the early 20th century brought us safer workplaces, minimum wage laws, and the 40-hour work week. And disability rights activists, through years of protests and advocacy, helped bring about the Americans with Disability Acts in 1990. Even when protests don't lead to immediate policy change, they often plant seeds. A protest can spark a conversation. A conversation can shift a perspective, and over time, those shifts can become movement. Some of the most powerful protests in history have been peaceful. Others have used music, poetry, or performance to deliver their message. Some are spontaneous, others are carefully organized. But what they all have in common is people who care deeply enough to speak up. In a country built on the idea that every voice matters, protests isn't just a right, it's a reflection of who we are. It reminds us that democracy doesn't only happen on election day. It happens when we stand up, speak out, and work together for a better future. And whether you disagree or agree with a protest or not, one thing is certain: change rarely happens without someone, somewhere, having the courage to begin. From Real Good News, I'm Diane Kirsch. Back to you, Lisa.
And finally, here is our very own Allen Swanson.
A few months ago, I gave a report about the leaching of chemicals into our bodies from plastic packaging and storage containers. The new news is the technology available to us for tracking the presence of these chemicals has made significant gains. The recent studies are looking at the presence of MNPs in our bodies. MNPs are microplastics and nanoplastics, or tiny pieces of plastic, some so small they're difficult to see using a microscope. One study just recently released was from researchers at the University of New Mexico. They used tissue from autopsies done between 1997 and 2024 to determine the amount of MNPs in the brains, livers, and kidneys of the deceased persons. They found plastic in each organ, but found that brains had more plastic than the other organs. In addition, the amount of plastic in all tissues was shown to be increasing. The tissue from 1997 contained less plastic than the tissue in 2024. In fact, between 2016 and 2024, the amount of plastic found in the brain doubled. Another finding was that persons diagnosed with dementia had more plastic in their brains than those without a diagnosis of dementia. These findings lead to two significant questions. One, how is the plastic getting into our bodies and our brains? And two, what harm are the tiny plastic particles doing? The answer to question one is plastic particles are now everywhere, in nearly everything. We eat them, we breathe them, we get them on our skin everywhere. Once the tiny particles enter our bodies, they are apparently entering our bloodstream and traveling around. The particles enter organs and for some reason stay there. The answers to the questions about the harm these plastics do remains unknown. At this point, all the researchers could do was show the presence of the plastic. They have not been able to determine what effects they are having on our organs. They know that the concentrations of these microscopic bits of plastic are greater in the brain, but they don't know why. Although the researchers say that many additional studies are required to provide a definitive answer about the harm these chemicals may be causing, there are many researchers who describe the increase in these plastics in our bodies as alarming. So, how much plastic has been found in our brains? The answer? About the amount in a plastic spoon. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not too happy about the potential of this much plastic residing in my brain. The researchers do agree on one important fact. All the reports recommend reducing our exposure to micro and nanoplastics that enter our bodies and our brains. This is not an easy task because the amount of plastic in all forms, from large to microscopic, is increasing every day. In fact, it is estimated that plastic production will double over the next 15 years. Now, we get to my favorite part of these commentaries. What can you do? The answer is simple. Cut down your exposure to micro and nanoplastics. Did I say simple? Easy to say, but extremely difficult to make it happen. As I have mentioned in the past, it can be done. And here are a few suggestions as to how. The first thing you need to do is decide what you want to do. You can decide to wait. You can wait for the results of additional research. Or you can begin to make the transition from using those everyday plastics that have been identified as the most troublesome. That means getting rid of the one item identified as the #1 source of micro and nano plastics. That is the plastic water bottle or similar plastic bottles. Eliminating these bottles from use would have a huge impact on the amount of plastic you ingest. Second, stop using produce bags made of plastic. Try to buy your fruits and vegetables fresh and put them in produce bags that are not made of plastic. Stop storing your food in plastic. And finally, never heat food in a plastic container in your microwave oven. I know I sound like a proverbial broken record on this subject, but these new studies are making the case against combining plastics and the food we eat more convincing every day. It's a tough challenge, but fortunately, there are more and more alternatives coming out to help us meet that challenge. We can do it. Thank you for watching. I'm Allen Swanson.
We enjoyed having you, and we look forward to seeing you on our next episode. Until then, I'm Lisa Allen, reminding you that real good news is always worth sharing.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the presenters and contributors. While we support a diversity of perspectives, they may not reflect the views of the entire team. We encourage open dialogue and welcome differing viewpoints. Real Good News is produced by Mortenveld Productions. For Real Good News, I'm Diane Kirsch.